Welcome back. I'm starting the first segment of the breakfast show with the press review, and we are joined in the studio with Mr. Mohamed Sheta, media expert. Hello, sir, and welcome to Breakfast Show.
Very beautiful good morning to you and to all your viewers.
Thank you. Let's start with مصري اليوم newspaper, where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received on Tuesday Ugandan Minister of State for International Relations in the presence of Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri. The President welcomed the envoy of Uganda and asked him to convey his greetings and appreciation to President of Uganda. He congratulated him for winning a new term as President, praising his historical wise leadership in the African continent. How do you see the importance of this meeting?
Well, I think, of course, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi showed his interest in inviting the Ugandan president to visit Egypt by meeting the Ugandan minister for foreign relations, and I'm sure that the main reason is, of course, to strengthen the ties between Egypt and the African countries, and also to strengthen the position of Egypt inside the African continent, of course.
Do you believe that winning a country like Uganda will help us in the future regarding the Renaissance Dam?
Well, the more African countries Egypt was able to convince with their point of view is definitely not going to harm. Uganda is maybe not a real key player on the African continent, but definitely it's not going to harm. So the more small countries we have on our side, of course, the better.
Okay, and moving to Al Shuru newspaper, where Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri said on Tuesday that preserving Egypt's stability and national security will help encircle terrorism. The statement was made at the National Dialogue Forum for Youth held on Tuesday. The minister expressed his happiness to meet Egypt's youth, saying that they are the mainstay of their homeland. The youth. Still, the youth have some demands. The government is trying to present what it sees from its point of view, and the youth have other points of view. Well, how do you see the meetings with the youth?
I think they're very important because the government needs to explain their positions in many different topics, and of course also the representative of the Egyptian youth need also to show to the government and always keep on explaining to them what their demands are and why they're thinking this way. So I think there's a huge difference and there's a huge gap in the communication between the government and the representatives of the Egyptian youth until today, and I think they really need to sit more on one table and sit with those young people and listen to them directly, not through channels like the media, for example, or through television interviews or something like this. I think it's very important to have those personal meetings, and I think this is definitely an interesting position that not only the Minister of Youth and the other ministers are sitting with the youth, but also like someone like the Foreign Minister, for example, in order to explain to the youth also why the foreign policy of Egypt is going into certain directions. So this is definitely a helpful helpful attempt from the government. And also the second point he mentioned was talking about terrorism. I think we just witnessed what we saw during the last couple of days, what happened in Orlando, for example, and what happened in Paris also yesterday. I think this shows that it is extremely important to always tackle this issue as well, not only with the youth but with all the different representatives of the Egyptian people, in order to show them how difficult it is to maintain the safety and security in a country, and that there's nothing 100% safe. So even the so-called most developed countries, like for example the United States, or the safest countries or regions like Europe, they still suffer from terrorism. So I think it's very important to always show to the public what are the dangers which are around Egypt, not only in our near neighborhoods like the neighboring countries, but also a little bit far away.
Okay. Moving to Sada al-Balad, where Kuwaiti Emir Sabah Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah will pay a visit to Egypt soon, according to Assistant Kuwait Foreign Minister. He said that in a press statement that the Kuwaiti Emir accepted President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's invitation to visit Cairo, but stopped short of setting a specific date of visit. I believe this is the only one from the Gulf states that he did not visit Egypt. We had from Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, we had from Emirates, and Kuwait. No one visited us lately.
Well, if you say I'm not, but I think you're right. I don't recall that some high-ranking Kuwaiti representative visited Egypt recently. Of course, the Kuwaiti government and the Kuwaiti companies are extremely important for the Egyptian economy because they have lots of reserves and lots of economic power. And I think we should really try to attract them as serious investors in Egypt. And the problem we have in Egypt is that. Lots of the investors we are having, both the local investors as well as the foreign investors, are not really very serious investors. They just, this is my personal opinion, and I see lots of examples in front of me, especially in certain
they're coming
sectors.
here to take, not to give.
They're coming here. Some of them are coming here to exploit, actually, not just to take. I mean, this is. For example, the automotive sector is for me is the most evident example that such investors are actually harming the Egyptian economy and harming the Egyptian consumer more than anything else. So I think the Kuwaiti, there are some huge Kuwaiti companies already operating in Egypt in the fast food sector, for example, and of course employing thousands of people. And I think there's much more potential for more Kuwaiti companies to come and invest in Egypt. And hopefully this visit of the Kuwaiti Emir to Egypt will push such investors to come to Egypt.
Okay, الأخبار newspaper, where Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces General Mahmoud Hijazi visited on Tuesday the Western Military Zone headquarters. During the visit, Hijazi, who had iftar with its armed forces, condemned the role of the women of the Western Military Zone in protecting Egypt's borders. The high-ranking military official praised the efforts made by the military men to relieve the suffering of the people, asserting that the army is an armor of the Egyptians. And also moving to Al-Ahram newspaper, where the Parliament's Media and Culture Committee approved Tuesday a legislative amendment aimed at granting President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi the right to reshuffle the Higher Press Council, the body in charge of naming editors and board chairmen of state-owned press organizations. And we have more in the following report.
The Egyptian Parliament's Media and Culture Committee approved Tuesday a legislative amendment aimed at granting President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi the right to reshuffle the Higher Press Council, the body in charge of naming editors and board chairmen of state-owned press organizations. The amendment, proposed by independent MP and journalist Mustafa Bakri and another 324 MPs, aims at changing Article 86 of the press law to allow the President to issue a decree that gives him the power to appoint a Higher Press Council for one temporary term until the new law on the regulation of the press is passed by Parliament. The amendment states that the new Higher Press Council will have the same powers that were granted to the now defunct upper house of the Shura Council, and will also name new editors and board chairmen of state-run press organizations. Bakri told the committee meeting that the amendment is an important and necessary measure as the legal term of the current Higher Press Council, which is in charge of editors and board chairmen of national press organizations, expired last January. Bakri insisted that the amendment doesn't have political dimensions. Osama Hakel, chair of the Parliament's Media Committee, told MPs that the amendment grants the President of the Republic the right to reshuffle the Higher Press Council for a temporary period of time until new media and press regulation laws are passed.
Welcome back. And Mr. Mohammed, as a media expert, what do you think of the new law that the parliamentary is going to, that the amendment by the parliament regarding this law?
Well, I have a few comments. First of all, I think the Egyptian government should try to take active steps in selling those state-owned newspapers. I think they're a huge burden for the Egyptian economy and also for the government economy as well. I see, to be honest, no use and no real benefit of having so many state-owned newspaper.
Like what?
Like, you mean names? Like,
Yeah.
like Al-Ahram, Al-Akhbar, Al-Gumhuriyya, all of them.
These are not only newspapers, they are lands and places and stores, and it's not only a newspaper.
Well, it's
a I mean, there are properties.
At the end of the day, they're not making profit. So the Egyptian taxpayer, you and me and all the other viewers, the Egyptian viewers, are paying to support those newspaper or so-called news organizations in making losses of up to billions of Egyptian pounds. So I really think that this should be reconsidered, and I don't know if it really makes sense to have so many huge newspaper organization or news organizations paid and financed by the Egyptian consumer, by the Egyptian citizens. Especially that, for example, some newspapers like Al-Ahram, for example, there are very strict guidelines which prohibit the journalists in working in the advertisement fields, for example, or selling advertisements inside the newspapers. And this is one of the things which I'm really surprised, because, for example, the automotive supplement of Al-Ahram, for example, 99% of the persons working there, of the so-called journalists, are actually working in the advertisement sector and getting commissions when they get advertising campaigns and stuff like that. So this is something which I do not understand how this is applicable to the guidelines of the press syndicate, of course. Secondly, Mr. Mustafa Bakri, of course, many of the Egyptian viewers know that he owns a private newspaper. I don't know how, if there might be a conflict of interest if he is going to put the guidelines on how the state-owned newspaper or news agencies are supposed to be run. So this is also a thing which I really don't understand. Another point is, I heard from sources inside some newspapers, like the Ahram, for example, that they have 300% more content than they can publish. This means they have 3 times more journalists employed in the newspaper than they can actually publish their work. So this doesn't make any sense for me as a taxpayer. So I don't know. I think this is a very important topic which maybe Nile TV should really focus on during the next couple of weeks and months as well, because I think there really needs to be some changes.
Okay, Al-Wafd newspaper, where Egypt's main index, Egypt 30, inched down 0.98% to 7.570 points on Tuesday, as daily stock turnover registered 428 million pounds. How do you see the Egyptian stock nowadays? What's your estimation for its role?
Well, the performance of the Egyptian stock index has been very modest over the past couple of weeks and months, actually, and I've been saying this many times. I think we really need to have a new strategy. The Ministry of I know that Minister Tariq Qabil is in St. Petersburg at the Economic Forum right now. Of course, he's presenting Egypt as opportunities for foreign investors, but I think we need to have a clear strategy and not only just separate visits of officials. I think the Egyptian investors need to focus more on being more productive, and I think we should have a much more inviting environment for foreign investors as well. And this is the only way we can attract foreign investors and have a much more dynamic stock market.
Okay, Al-Ahram newspaper, where we read Egypt's central bank kept the pound steady against the dollar at its official foreign currency auction on Tuesday, and the currency was stronger on the black market. The central bank sold 119.9 million at a cut dollars at a cut of price of 8.83 pounds per dollar. And also we have the Al-Wafd newspaper, where Egypt's trade deficit dropped for 44.4% in March to 19.9 billion pounds, down from 35.7 billion pounds in the same month a year earlier. Imports fell 27.2% to £37.5 billion, down from £51.5 billion, driven mainly by a sharp decline in the import of petroleum products by 22.2%. And we have more about this in the following report.
Official Statistics Agency CAPMAS announced Tuesday that Egypt's trade deficit dropped 44.4% in March to 19.9 billion, down from 35.7 billion in the same month a year earlier. Imports fell 27.2% to 37.5 billion, down from 51.5 billion, driven mainly by a sharp decline in the import of petroleum products by 22.2%, raw materials for steel by 15.5%, and passenger cars by 21.9%. The rise in the value of petroleum products, on the other hand, has contributed to an 11.7% increase in exports to 17.6 billion Egyptian pounds from 15.8 billion Egyptian pounds. Fertilizer prices also surged 158.4%, contributing to a higher value for exports.
Welcome back. And Mr. Mohamed Sheta, the currency, the pound.
Yes, this is a very important issue, actually, the foreign currency versus the Egyptian pounds, especially the dollar. We have a problem in getting more dollars. First of all, of course, the tourism, which was a main source of income for the foreign currencies, is actually suffering significantly and dramatically in Egypt right now. It's not only because of the fears of the tourists in coming to Egypt. No, it's also because of actually the way we are handling our tourist attractions. Like, for example, the sightseeing tours sites at like the pyramids, for example. Yeah. It is not acceptable that just some vendors are controlling roaming the area around there and actually making it one of the worst experience for the tourists. They
are terrorizing the tourists themselves.
They're actually terrorizing, and I witness it myself when I go with friends and I see how they treat them. It is really appalling. And I heard from many friends who came for the first time to Egypt, and this was one of the worst experiences. And they're not coming again. Very simply, I'll just give you an example. The World Food Program is having a training in Laguna at the Red Sea right now. One of the guests who are attending this World Food Program training, she went to the pyramids, and she of course she was harassed by most of the vendors there. And then Egypt Air lost her luggage as well when they traveled to Hurghada. And last but not least, she got harassed even at the airport by a person somewhere. I don't know if he was an employee or not. So the Egyptian government and the Cairo airport and the Egyptian Ministry and Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Antiques, they really have to work on promoting a sustainable tourism and attractive tourism as well. As for the business sector, I said it many times before. Unfortunately, some of the business owners and factory owners, they stopped working and they stopped producing their goods, and they started trading in foreign currencies as well. Of course, aside the fact that there are some countries and some companies and some businessmen who are doing money laundering as well. So the Egyptian government has really to take more actions regarding.
We ran out of time, Mr. Mohamed Sheta. Thank you very much, and welcome once again to Breakfast.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. And now we are moving to a quick break, so please stay tuned.